Here we have Robin, another Robin, Red Robin, Blue Robin, Dead Robin. In this video, I'll be showing off my LEGO DC collection. There's tons of figures to go through, so I provided timestamps in the description. That way you can skip around to each section. So let's not waste any more time and get started. Okay, so the first one in the collection is the first appearance Batsuit. Honestly, I really like this one. It has a unique cowl mold, dual molded legs, unique bat logo. The glows are a little goofy, but I think it's nice. He came in the DC CMF series, which honestly had a lot of really good figures that I missed out on, but at least I was able to get this one. But yeah, that's it for this one. One of my favorites. But moving on. Here's the Adam West suit, another very unique Batman. He's one of the very few that has printing on the cowl itself. I wish the legs were dual molded, of course, but I think he's still pretty neat. Definitely a cool one to have in the collection. A very different, cheery, happier Batman, as you can tell from the alternate face. But that's it for Adam West Batman. Next up is this gray suit. I think it's supposed to be like the New 52 look, based on the gold outline of the bat symbol. But honestly, I'm not too sure. I don't even know what set he comes from either, but that's it for him. Now we got another really neat suit, Blue Batman, or I think Golden Age, right? It's supposed to be. When he had this blue and gray suit. I think he's super neat. He's a little bit damaged and the cape is not too great right now, but I don't know, I really like the bright blue contrasting with the gray and the yellows. It looks really, really neat in my opinion. Now moving on to what I call like the utility suits. First one being this Arctic suit. I think this is definitely my favorite. There's something about just inverting, Batman's typical colors. Instead of black and dark gray, having a white version is just so cool. No pun intended. And then there's a scuba suit. I think this one released with like a unique face print, which I'm not lucky enough to own. But if I remove the head and the gear here, you can see he has a very neat, exclusive torso printing, which I like quite a lot. Then there's the spacesuit, which weirdly enough I don't like as much as the Arctic suit, even though it's white as well. And I think the chrome helmet is really cool. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I think maybe he just looks better with the wings he came with. This next one is Armored Batman. I'm so happy I own this figure. He's so detailed and looks crazy intimidating too. Now if I remove the helmet here, you can see how menacing that face print is. But not just that, if I remove the armor, he has an amazing torso design. Which kind of sucks that you typically cover up with the armor piece. But check out that alternate face though. I don't usually display it like this, but I mean that looks super dope also. Look at that. Oh yeah. But if you thought that was cool, check this out. This is the Batman vs Superman armor suit. Now this is a knockoff, obviously. But I mean, bro, bootlegs have come a long way because the level of detail and design here is incredible. If I take off the accessories here, now you can really appreciate the level of design and details to all these attachments that he has, gauntlets, boots. He came with a cape which attached back here, but I didn't really like it that much, so I just keep it like this. He also came with this super sick kryptonite spear, which appears in the movie, of course, and also this batarang, which I mean, we all have a bunch of batarangs lying around, but this one is way better. But yeah, keeping with the Batman vs Superman theme, here I have Apocalypse Batman. I mean, this is entirely, my own custom, or a fig bar if I should say, I don't know. But I really wanted to use this dark brown cowl, and so this is what I came up with essentially. I don't know, I think he's kind of neat. The legs are from Wild Style, the torso I think is from Star Wars, and then I just gave him a gun. Because I guess in the Apocalypse, Batman is cool with killing, which, I mean, I could understand. All bets are off at that point. And lastly, here we have Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis, of course. This is one of the many figures that I'll probably end up remaking just because I'm not totally satisfied with how he looks. And the belt, for example, is not even accurate. But yeah, for this one, I actually experimented with the cowl a little bit. That's what it looks like without it. A little creepy. But yeah, I experimented with the cowl. I removed the chin part essentially to have a little bit of a sleeker look, I guess. Because the cowl normally looks very boxy, which doesn't really fit the look because Terry McGinnis has a more slender look for sure. So yeah. So that's it for the Batman. These are not even all the Batman suits that I own. I have way more. But these are pretty much the ones that I like to display or keep assembled, I guess. So yeah. So now let's start with the Bat family. Here we have Batman again. Yeah, you're probably going to see a lot of Batman throughout this video just because I have a lot. But yeah, so this is like a combination of the Batman Begins suit, I think. And I added like this hard plastic cape to him, and these glove tops, and like some dual molded legs, and a short cowl, of course. And I'm really lucky to own this torso because I think it's quite rare. Pretty much most of my collection comes from online marketplace lots, so yeah, it's all luck of the draw. Next we have Alfred. Not much to say about him. I just used like a random three-piece suit in black and just used the Alfred head and hair. So yeah, that's it for Alfred. Then we got an unofficial member of the Bat family, Catwoman. I'm not too sure what era of Batman sets she comes from, because she looks kind of like an older design. I do have the purple version that's in the Lego Batman movie. I don't know, I think the black obviously is just more fitting for her. Next is a literal family member. Here's Thomas Wayne Batman, or Flashpoint Batman. This one's pretty much entirely custom. I painted the torso, the legs, the arms there. I made the cape. I even made like my own utility belt, which didn't turn out that great, but it was the best I could do at the time. Let me just show them without the guns for a second. There we go. But yeah, I mean, entirely painted by me. I'll probably end up remaking this one. I definitely want to clean them up a bit now that I have better materials and such. And in case you were curious, this is what the belt looks like. But yeah, next one, probably a fan favorite, Nightwing here, who's unfortunately missing a baton. This one is quite old, or some parts of him, like the torso and the arms. Because I know the face, for example, I redid not too long ago. But yeah, the batons, for example, I did them out of wands. Let's put it here. But he's missing one, so yeah. Now he looks like a wizard. I made this like attachment for his back so he could have him there. But you know, they're just friction based. It's not like a proper connection, so I guess they fell out. And it's a very small piece, so it's not easy to find. But that's Nightwing. Now we have Robin, or Damian Wayne more specifically. I think this one turned out super neat. I actually remade him when I acquired like an official Robin face, because I actually didn't have one for quite a while. I also made this cape double-sided, so it's black on the outside. I even added the hood piece for extra detail there. And if I remove his katana here, we have a better look. As you can see, very detailed. Has the waist cape custom made. I decaled the feet and the arms, which have unfortunately faded. So that means I'll probably have to remake this one again, this time in a more permanent manner. So this is actually what he used to look like before I remade him, so yeah, pretty big improvement, all things considered. Damian just has the best suits overall, in general. But that's enough of Damian. Let's move on to one of my favorite Robins, Red Robin, or Tim Drake. A lot of people hate on this design, it's even become like a meme, but I personally really love it. I'll definitely end up remaking this one too, just because the decal has faded. And the helmet, I didn't realize how rough it looked, so I'll definitely have to smooth that out. Let me remove his bow staff for a better look here. But yeah, there's Red Robin. Maybe I'll even switch the yellow with gold in the future. Okay, but now one of my oldest customs, Red Hood. I pretty much first made him when Arkham Knight came out, and I've been altering him and changing him and upgrading him ever since. So yeah, it's kind of mostly based on his appearance in that game, but then I changed the jacket color, for example. I added these silver pistols. You can kind of even tell I painted over the jacket. It was originally silver, and did a bunch of other things. Like got this helmet, for example, which I acquired not too long ago. It's a bootleg, so it's kind of hard to remove without popping the head out. But it's better than what I had before, which was a backwards Magneto helmet, so this one has come a long way. Anyway, now we have Jim Gordon here. Not much to say about this one either. This is just the Jim Gordon from the collectible minifigure series. He's super detailed, he's such a good figure. Another good figure is Batgirl. This is her rendition from the Lego Batman movie, which I like a lot, but I wish I had the black version that came in that Joker Steamroller set. But this is a good alternative, honestly. It's more akin to her more recent design. Okay, now I have a couple wild cards here. I think only true Batman fans will know who these characters are. But here's Clown Hunter. He's a newer character in Batman comics, which I really dug his design. and I think his backstory was also very interesting, so why not make him out of Lego? I'm probably the first person to ever make this character out of Lego. Although it looks a bit rough, like the helmet, but I mean, it still looks accurate to the character, so not too bad. Here it is a little more up close. I basically took like a knockoff, like football helmet or something, and I attached like this cardboard paper to the front of it, and I used like a Spartan plume and I glued it on top. But yeah, there's Clown Hunter. So another newer Batman character, here's Ghostmaker. This probably has to be the most intricate figure I've ever made, because he's just packing so much detail. The cape's attached a little weirdly with studs back here, and making all the armor was kind of a hassle. If I removed both of his weapons, we could take a better look. I even added his logo on the shoulder, even though it's hard to tell. But yeah, I had to paint the chest plate, add some straps to it. I made the waist cape a little thicker than usual because I wanted to resemble armor. All for a character who's not even all that popular. But I like him and I thought he was interesting, so I felt inclined to make him. Okay, so this section will be for my Justice League characters, starting off with, of course, Superman. I own this version and the Man of Steel version, but I think I like this classic look better, because that look didn't really capture my attention much. And I'm also not the biggest Superman fan anyway, but who I am a fan of is, of course, Batman again. I actually made this suit pretty recently. It was mainly to test my new dark blue paint. I wanted to make sure it was matching with Lego's dark blue. And I think I pretty much found the match. So I painted these boots and the bat signal. I also made this cape too, which is a little different, a little more angular, sharper. And of course I had to paint that also. But yeah, that's it for this bat suit. I quite like this color scheme, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing this in live action, either in the DCU or in Matt Reeves' Batman movies. And to complete the Trinity, of course, I have Wonder Woman. I mean, there's not much to say. She's just basically the Wonder Woman figure, but I changed the head. And I'm not sure if this lasso is like an official part or where I got it from, but yeah. But I'm actually seriously considering making Absolute Wonder Woman, because that attire looks crazy sick, and that sword too, and her whole look is so badass. And now I have my favorite version of Aquaman here. He also came in the DC CMF, and in my opinion this is probably the best Aquaman figure you can get, and I think I even have two. So this attire definitely makes Aquaman look way more intimidating and badass, especially with that hook hand. I do have his classic attire, and it's cool too, but I prefer this one way more. I have a ton of Aquaman figures actually. But moving on, we have Flash, which I only have one figure of, which kind of sucks because he's one of my favorite Justice League members, especially in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which I guess is supposed to be Wally West and not Barry Allen, which makes things way too confusing in typical Flash fashion. But another one of my favorites from that cartoon is Green Arrow. This is another figure that I'm really lucky to own, especially this version. Green Arrow in general is already quite rare, but this version I think is probably the most valuable one, outside of the Comic-Con exclusive ones, which those don't count. But yeah, I was missing the bow and the hat when I bought it, but I wasn't too upset about it, because in the end I had these shoulder pads and I gave him this blonde hairpiece, which keeps him pretty recognizable. So now from Green Arrow to Green Lantern. This is also just pretty much the regular Green Lantern minifigure, since he's pretty perfect as he is. I just made a couple of small additions, like changed the hairpiece and added a Green Lantern ring. And you may have not noticed, but I painted the legs, that way they kind of wrap all the way around. Well, the back doesn't look as great, but I mainly wanted it to look like the black extends to the sides, to make it appear like dual molded legs or something. But that's enough of him. Now we have Martian Manhunter, who's missing the cape just because I think I'm using it on another figure and I can't quite find it, so I just left him like this. At least we could check out the back printing there. This is one of those figures where I wish I got him through the set he came with, because that set was crazy cool. Brainiac's ship, if I remember correctly. Next up is a custom Shazam. Even though there's an official figure, I don't personally have it, and so I made my own here. A lot of these you'll see are made by my old customization methods, like the paper decals colored in marker, which tends to fade, so it's not the best way to do it. Same with decaling like the arms and the legs for the boots, which is super tedious. But I don't know, I think this one still kind of holds up, and it's still way more detailed than the official version. But yeah, now one of my more recent customs, Mr. Terrific. The difference in quality is not that night and day, which I guess means I haven't improved much. But I'm getting more comfortable with painting onto the actual parts. I used to have a much smaller collection, so I didn't want to ruin any like rare torsos or like a limited supply of arms or legs or whatever it may be. But now that my collection is a little more substantial, I could go ahead and take these kinds of liberties, which yield some slightly better results. This custom, I mean, the arms are not that great because it's really hard to paint letters that are that small and are supposed to be outlined even, so yeah. And finally we have Hawkman, kind of. This is not really the official Hawkman. It's mainly using parts from El Dorado, but they still pretty much fall within his color scheme, so I think they work out. Then I added these crazy gold wings, which make it a little bit inconvenient when trying to display, just because they're super large. They actually come from Wonder Woman of all things. And I also added this gold mace. But yeah, that's Hawkman. I'm not sure he's even a Justice League member. I think mainly Hawk Girl usually is. But oh well. Moving on, these would be my Legion of Doom characters, starting with the Clown Prince of Crime, Joker. Not much to say about him, it's just Joker. But up next would be Lex Luthor in his power armor, a custom-made Lex Luthor, because I don't have an official version. I used this Nexonites armor piece and painted it green, because I think it just looks perfect. It looks just like the comics, and the logo even shows through the middle there, or the power source or whatever it may be. I'm not really sure how his suit works. But yeah, that's Lex. Now another Superman villain, Lobo, which I'm excited to see in live action in the new Supergirl film, which will hopefully mean that we get more sets and we get another version of him, because he's quite rare. And I think he runs pretty expensive too, so I'm glad I have him. Then we got Sinestro here. I actually happen to have a couple of these figures, so maybe I should make some other members of the Yellow Lanterns. Next is one of my few Flash villains, Captain Cold. I'm not much of a fan of this character. In fact, I don't really know much about him at all outside of the Flash TV series, which I didn't really find him interesting in there either. But he has like a new exclusive hood piece. At least I think so. Here I have a work in progress Reverse Flash, which I may not finish because I'm not totally satisfied with that cowl, how thick the paint is. But yeah, up next is Cheetah, which maybe looks a little strange because it has a different face. It's like a cat girl from a random CMF. But the figure I think is super cool. I like the printing all around. This one also came in the CMF series, except with a tail and like a money bag, I think. Then we have a completely custom Black Adam, which I'm surprised to find out that he doesn't have an official Lego version. So yeah, this is entirely a custom. I would have made him maybe more detailed by adding a cape and like the boots and stuff like that, but I didn't like the Black Adam movie, so I didn't really feel inspired or inclined to do so. And then finally we got Deathstroke. I remember when I made him, I really liked how he turned out at the time. But now that I see him again, I see how rough his paint job is. The paint is super thick and splotchy. And that's not even the worst part. If I take off this helmet, you could see the monstrosity under there. Yeah, not the best by any means. Let's pop that helmet back on. It's not that bad overall, but it's pretty dated, I would say. Using the techniques I know now, I could probably make this one much cleaner. Now, because I have a lot of Batman figures, I also have a plethora of Batman villains. So here's another Joker, this time from the 60s show. Super nice Joker, I'm really happy that I have him. Then I have his sidekick, Harley Quinn. This is her more classic suit, which I love. Or original suit, I should say. This is how she originally appeared in the Batman animated series. So yeah, very iconic look. Now here we have a very despisable character, the Penguin. God, I just love to hate this guy. And I actually think I have like 4 different Penguin minifigures. One from the Batman movie, this one from the Lego Batman movie, and then one where he has like a brown fur on his coat. So yeah, lots of penguins. Up next is Man-Bat. Now this is not the official Man-Bat figure, which I do have, but I like this one much better since it has a cooler, darker color scheme. It looks a little bit scarier too. And as a bit of a bonus, here's one that I'm working on. It's Clayface. I complained a lot that LEGO didn't include him in the Arkham Asylum set, so I just had to make him myself. If they don't do it, then I will. But up next here is Scarecrow. This is also pretty much a custom version. He's kind of based on the versions that you see on the Arkham games. I went ahead and painted the arms, the patches that you see on the arms there, and I made this custom cape too, which extends to the neck part. And if I remove the hood, you can see that I also painted this face. I liked how it turned out with the stitching in the mouth and stuff. And if I remove the cape, you can see the torso I used here. I used this one because it looks like he has fewer gas canisters. And here's a look at the cape in case anybody was curious. But alright, enough of that. Now it's time for Bane. He's just a regular Bane minifigure, and I added this mask to him, which I painted. And if I remove it, you can see the printing is very faded on this head. So that's why I pretty much made this mask for him. It also just looks cooler in my opinion. Next we got Mr. Freeze. This is more of a purist custom. There's no like modified parts or anything. Also check out that freeze gun. I feel like it looks pretty slick. But yeah, the rest is just a combination of parts from different figures and such. Now riddle me this, who's green and annoying? Riddler, of course. I wish I had the Lego Batman movie version. Unfortunately, I only have the hat, and so this is what I came up with. I have yet to finish his staff. I plan to make like a question mark piece that should be removable. I also used the head from Doc Ock, which works great because he has that snarky smile on him. But next up is Two-Face. This one is also not complete, and I'm probably gonna just redo the whole thing. Maybe keep the head, because I think I did the face pretty well, but everything else is pretty rough. And I also really just don't know what to do with the hair. If I should mold one or I should split two and glue them together, I don't know. But lastly, we got one of my better ones. This is Azrael. This is based on the Arkham Knight version. I really like how he turned out. I used like a weird knockoff armored Spider-Man like body. And then I had to make the tasseled cape, of course. And this white tassel that extends to the legs, that's all like separate. I could actually remove that, it's not painted on. Which is something I always like to do, so I can keep my figures customizable. But yeah, that's Azrael. Now this section will be for my Suicide Squad / miscellaneous villains. So here I have Harley Quinn in her emancipation phase, I guess, kind of attire. When she pretty much stopped being Joker's sidekick, I guess you could say. Then here's a completely custom Deadshot. This one is pretty much just completely painted. It's based on his comic book look, of course. I used to really like this one, but now that I look at it, it's just not as clean as I wish it would be. Something cool about this one though is I actually made his wrist-mounted guns there, which I think turned out pretty neat as a cool little unique accessory for him. They're actually even removable, which makes them even cooler, since I made them out of the handcuff pieces, so I can go ahead and remove them. That's kind of what he looks like without them. Yeah, I mean overall not too bad, but the line work is a little shoddy here and there. So enough of Deadshot. Now we have Boomerang, Captain Boomerang. This figure is kind of based on both his classic look and his more modern look with the beanie. I feel like the classic looks translate way better into minifigure form. Because I mean, this guy for example, he would just be a guy in a trench coat, which to me wouldn't be that interesting of a figure. But up next is my version of King Shark. It was obviously much smaller, and I went for more of a tactical look. I based his appearance on the Assault on Arkham movie, which is far more different from his more modern rendition where he's a giant shark and kind of a comedic relief character. Then we got Killer Frost, not really my favorite version. I think this look is like quite bland, and I much prefer her attire from like the Injustice video game for example, or even the Assault on Arkham movie again. But yeah, that's Killer Frost. Now one of my absolute favorites, Peacemaker. I think this one turned out super clean. I mean, except for the helmet. This is pretty much like my first time ever sculpting, and I should have definitely like smoothed out the helmet first before painting it. It's got a lot of weird textures all around. So it didn't turn out as good as I hoped for, but the rest of the figure I think looks pretty great. Moving on, we have Catman. Honestly, it's a pretty underrated figure because he looks great. He came in the Lego Batman movie, CMF, and I just added these claws and I had to change the head because I used it in a different character. Another cool one from the Lego Batman movie, Calendar Man. I mean, look at this outfit, it's so detailed. They really went above and beyond creating those sets and those figures from that wave, because this figure is phenomenal. Okay, so now, last but not least, Killer Moth. And God, it really just irks me that I don't have his helmet. I believe this is the version of him that came in that Scarecrow set with Blue Beetle, because there's another version that has like the antenna like cap, which I don't like at all. Maybe I should order the helmet in the future. but I don't even know how to buy from Pick a Brick or Bricklink, whatever it's called. And I don't want to pay a super crazy price for it, so maybe I'll even sculpt it myself, who knows. Now this will be my Teen Titans / Young Justice, beginning with, of course, Robin. This is just a Robin from the Lego Batman movie, but I changed the face and added a different hairpiece to emulate that classic look. And then now we have Starfire. Unfortunately, this is a less detailed Teen Titans Go version, of which I had to change the face just because it looked a little too goofy. But this one will do. Now here we have one of the best DC Lego minifigures, Blue Beetle. I got this guy from Goodwill, one of my best thrift finds for sure. And he's pretty much in perfect condition as well, and not missing any of the accessories. Next up, another one of my favorites. Here I have Cyborg. For him I added these printed legs which suit the torso perfectly. And I thought it'd be fun to add these giant metal fists to him. Now we have Stargirl. To be completely honest, I don't know much about Stargirl. I think she had a TV show or something. I think she has like a magical staff that gives her powers, but unfortunately I'm missing that accessory. But she's still a pretty neat figure. Moving on to Speedy / Red Arrow / Arsenal. I'm definitely going to be remaking him again, but this time in his Red Arrow outfit, and additionally in his Arsenal outfit. I would just need to get the pieces for it. Because yeah, this custom is pretty rough, and the yellows don't even match. From the boots to the strap to the gloves to the belt. It's just a mess. And now we have Kid Flash. For him, I wish I had like a cow with the hair sticking out, because like this, he doesn't really look that great. If I ever remake him, that's probably the first thing I'll tackle. Next on the list is Firestorm. This one's not even finished and already needs a redo. I was experimenting with a different way of making decals, and clearly did not turn out that great. I'm also still debating whether I should use this hairpiece to emulate the fire effect. But enough of him, next up is Classic Nightwing. This one looked much better before it faded, which shows the drawbacks of using the paper decals. So yeah, this is another one that needs a major rehaul, but I don't know when that will be. Especially because this is a very specific blue that I would need to match. Regardless, here we have Robin. This is one of my simpler figures, but also one of my favorites. It's kind of based on the Robin from the Young Justice cartoon, except mine is supposed to be Tim, instead of Dick Grayson. And yeah, he also doesn't have that many customization going on, mainly the cape, the hood piece, and the face I made. Here we have Supergirl, except she's missing the obvious super emblem. I just made her real quick with the parts I had. I made her a skirt, used a random blue torso, and Wonder Woman's legs, which still gets the idea across. Now the final figure in the showcase, Red X. I'm sure like many, I thought this character was super cool and interesting when I first saw him in the Teen Titans show. So I tried to replicate him as best I could here, and honestly I think he turned out quite great. I made him a custom cape, tattered from the edges, that's black on the outside and gray on the inside. I also painted the torso and the head, and added small decals at the feet. This helmet piece is actually very fitting for him too. Which, by the way, if you guys finally want to know what his secret identity is, if I take off the mask, I could actually just show you that.